Hey y'all, what's good? I'm gonna jump straight into this one. Having a little. So where I get some of my talking points or some of the things I want to bring up is just social media, having interactions and conversations and exchanging ideas, arguing, whatever. A lot of it comes from social media. You know what I'm saying? So one idea that I've come across is the burden of responsibility as it pertains to bringing children in the world and who bears the most responsibility or who should have the most say so and equal rights and all that kind of stuff, right? And we're talking about when a man and a woman, when they have sex, which is procreation by nature, and a child is a byproduct of that, right? So we all know when we having sex, this is basics. When we having sex, there's a chance that a child can be born. Every time you lay down to smack bellies, this is what is possible, right? Okay. And I know men feel some kind of way that the woman has the final say so. I don't feel some kind of way, but I understand the feeling. So, and I'm gonna go a little long on this one because I've had personal experiences with this on both sides. I'm a father of three children, and there's nothing to brag about it. I do what I'm supposed to do, right? So that's just that. There's no pat on the back for being a father, for being a responsible father. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what my father did. That's what his grandfather did, so on and so forth, as well as my peers and every man who I know in my world that's a father. They are stand-up dudes who do what they're supposed to do. Period. And that's the way it should be. But then but the burden of responsibility seems to often fall more on women in the case whereas a man decides to step away from it, right? And some men feel that that's okay for a man to say, you know what? I didn't want a kid. I didn't want a kid. You chose to be a single mother. I know y'all heard that shit, and I'm laughing about it. It's not funny, but it's the most ridiculous thing that I have ever heard. So, man and woman lay down. They have sex. A baby's born. But before the baby's born, the man has this thought that, hey, you know what I'm saying? I ain't ready to have kids. I don't want to have kids. That's not what I signed up for. And the woman is like, well, hey, I'm not going to the clinic, bro. This is what it is. Then the man, well, you chose this, so that's your responsibility, right? Not all men are doing this. Most brothers are not doing this. However, there are a few who do it, and there's a few who subscribe to this idea. Why? Because they feel that the woman has the final say so the man should equally have the say so to say, well, I don't want to have nothing to do with it since I can't say nothing about the end result, right? And Dave Chappelle said the same thing in his most recent stand-up, that if a woman has the right to abort, a man should have the right to walk away. I disagree. And I know some people agree with that, and that's an idea. And if you want to agree with that idea, cool. I don't. Never have, never will. Nothing will change that. Chris Rock also said something years ago, and he said that when that woman comes to you, and if I'm not quoting them exactly, excuse me, but I'm just trying to get it out. If a woman comes to you and says, I'm pregnant, he said, you got one response. One response. Well, what you gonna do? Because at the end of the day, and that's if you, what you gonna do is if you don't necessarily want to have a kid, but you kind of got to straddle the fence. You got to be diplomatic about this, right? But you cannot say, well, that's on you. Or, well, hey, go to the clinic. You can say it, but you can't do nothing about it. Like that's it. And men feel some kind of way about that. Now, I'm finna go into why I don't think men should feel some kind of way about that. It's very simple. It's the simplest thing to put a whole bow on this shit, period. Women assume the most risks when it comes to sex. Period. That silence gives y'all time to think. And I will repeat it. Women assume the most risk when it comes to sex. Period. We're not even talking about if they end up pregnant. At that point, they are assuming all the risk. Not some, not half, not 75%, not 25%. All of the risks. They can die during childbirth, bruh. And last time I checked, there has never been a man on earth to die during childbirth because of anything that was going on with his body. Now, if he went into shock and passed out and had a heart attack, then I'm pretty sure that anomaly exists somewhere. And if one of y'all dudes who want to beat that horse, want to go Google that information, fine. And this isn't to beat down dudes. Don't get me wrong. But this is just stating facts, not my opinion. My opinion is a little bit different, and I'll get into that. But the fact of the matter is women assume all the risks the moment they are pregnant. All of them. And most of the risk, more risk, they assume more risk than we do when it comes to sex. That's not a debate. Your feelings don't matter. Your ideas don't matter. Nuance doesn't matter. Nothing outside of the box matters. That is the fact. The incubators assume the most risk. This is science. So let's just get that out of the way, right? Now, of course, this isn't just about me having a pro-choice rant, however, but it is about just putting that out there. So when it comes to the idea that men and women are equal in this process, we're not. So as a man, the most power you're going to have in this process is before you deposit your male into that box. Period. That's all you got, bro. That's all you got. Cover it up. Get a vasectomy. Abstain. Whatever. Everything you can do is before you go in there. That's it. Period. You can have an opinion if you want to, and that's it. After that, that's all you got in his opinion. After you went in there and you done the deed, all you got in his opinion, bro. You don't got nothing else. This is the way it is. So once that's understood, now we can get on to something else. Now, yes, we should be having conversations about what are we going to do if this happens? If you end up pregnant, what are you going to do? What are your thoughts on pro-choice? What are your thoughts on just Planned Parenthood in general? Do you want to plan it? You know, if you end up... There's a lot of situations that come about. I mean, I'm sorry, bro. If she ain't have no kids and the clock is ticking and you run up in there and she ends up pregnant because the birth control failed and she's in her late 30s and this is the last shot at motherhood, maybe, I don't know, because that clock is ticking, whatever, bro, she might very well say, I'm going to keep this baby regardless as to whether or not you want to be involved. And as a man, again, all of your choices were before procreation. Now, you got to do what you got to do. You got to step up. You got to be responsible. No man should want his DNA, his lineage running around without his involvement. None. That's just the weakest shit ever. And honestly, weakness, and I've been part of this weakness. So this ain't just me talking about the bros. I've been the weak male, the weak man in the process of procreation. Oh yes. And let me tell you, there's not a brother watching this right now who will tell you that a pregnancy scare isn't among the weakest feelings that a man will ever face when he is not prepared or does not want or does not desire that. And you know, like I said, you should have already considered those things before having sex. But let's be clear, everybody ain't considering all those things before having sex. So, you know, we wing it a lot of times. But then when that text or that phone call, hey, I missed my period, man, that's some scary. I don't know what's scarier than that. I'd rather probably be sitting front row at an exorcism than sitting there getting a phone call or a text that she missed her period. I'm late. Late for what? Please be on time. If you ain't gonna be on time for nothing else, be on time for that. That is a weak feeling, bruh. And every man knows what I'm talking about. You don't have no appetite. You ain't hungry. You ain't sleepy. You can't be productive. There's nothing like everything. The sun does not shine as bright when you got a pregnancy scare. None at all. And we know, and that's because we know that we don't have the final say, regardless of how we feel about it, one way or the other. So that being said, you just got to practice a certain level of responsibility. You can't leave it up to her. And if we're going to call ourselves being leaders, and I hate to use the term submission, but wanting women to submit to your leadership and stuff, bro, you got to be the example by taking the most responsibility in any given situation. I want to double back just a tad bit for anybody who wants to argue that the risks, because that's not arguable, it's not debatable, those are facts. But I'm just going to bring another, make another analogy. Two people, they investing together, right? One person invests 90 grand. The other person invests 10 grand. That money comes back and y'all double, triple, quadruple. Who is going to get the most upon the return? Who has the most say-so as far as what y'all invest in? The person taking the most risks. And when it comes to procreation and sex, women take the most risks. Again, this ain't debatable. This ain't nothing to argue. And the fact that it's men out here that really argue it's beyond me. Don't talk to me about overturning Roe versus Wade. Don't talk to me about child support. I'm going to close it by saying this. Child support and abortion, all those rights, they're not even 100 goddamn years old. Women have been biologically assuming all the risks since the beginning of time. Period. It is what it is. Men have been able to walk away free and clear for 99% of our existence on Earth. Period. Now we're in an era, now we're in a time where, hey, you just can't walk away like that, bruh. And I know that got some of y'all feeling salty about the end result and the decision that's going to be made. I know. Listen, I've been there. I've been there, man. I've been on the short end of that stick. It feels terrible to know that she might have that kid that you didn't necessarily want to have, but you laid down there and did everything it took to bring that kid into the world. Get over that shit. Teach your sons. Teach these young dudes. Be responsible. Be responsible early. Because after the fact, all the risks is on the women. And that being the case, they get all the final say.